Some roads are remembered for the journeys they carry, others for the lives they buried. In the Nebraska countryside lies a road cursed with tragedy, where 7 sisters met their fate at the hands of their own blood. Their cries never faded, their story never died. This is the legend of the 7 sisters, here on Bloodline Files. Why is this stretch of land called 7 Sisters Road? At first glance, it is nothing more than rolling hills and quiet fields. But behind the silence lies a story of betrayal that turned family into a nightmare. Long ago, 7 sisters lived with their only brother in a farmhouse, hidden from the rest of the world. Their bond seemed unbreakable. They walked together, worked together, and carried each other through the days. Yet their brother grew apart, a man consumed by jealousy and shadows of resentment. Was it their closeness that left him feeling abandoned? Or the way neighbors praised the sister's beauty while he remained unnoticed? Whispers say he felt invisible, a ghost in his own home. The anger festered until it became something more dangerous than loneliness. And one night, the brother made a choice that would stain the land forever. The laughter of the sisters would be silenced, and trust would be broken in the darkest way imaginable. What kind of bond did the sisters share before tragedy struck? They were inseparable, often seen together under the sunlit fields, their voices rising in song and laughter. To the neighbors, they looked like the heart of innocence, proof that harmony still lived in the countryside. Their closeness was both their strength and, perhaps unknowingly, their downfall. The brother watched from a distance, rarely joining in. He became an outsider in his own home, his silence speaking louder than any words. Some claim he heard the sisters whisper about him, believing they mocked his failures and loneliness. Whether true or not, he believed it, and belief is often more dangerous than truth. The fields that once echoed with their joy began to carry another sound. His footsteps, pacing, restless, filled with dark thoughts. It was no longer the laughter of his sisters he heard in his mind, but voices feeding his anger. Something was breaking, and no one realized how close it was to shattering. What happened on the night it all ended? The legend says the brother waited until the moonless dark covered the hills. One by one he called to his sisters, his voice calm, even gentle, as though he wanted to share a secret or lead them to safety. Trust made them follow. After all, he was their blood, their protector, their brother. The first sister disappeared into the shadows, then the second, then the third. By the time the others noticed something was wrong, it was already too late. He led them down the winding hills, to the place where branches hung heavy and silence pressed close. Did they sense danger as the rope tightened, or did they still believe his promise until the very last breath? The legend does not agree. What is clear is that by the end of that night, 7 lives had ended. The land absorbed their cries, and the wind began to carry their story, whispered through the trees. Why did he choose such a cruel fate for his sisters? Some believe it was pure madness, the act of a mind no longer bound by reason. Others whisper of deeper motives, a curse that poisoned the family line, or perhaps an ancient superstition that demanded sacrifice. The truth may never be known, but the brutality of his actions could not be denied. He did not bury them side by side with dignity. He left them hanging in the night, a twisted display of power and rage. The farmhouse that once rang with laughter became silent, a shell of grief and fear. Neighbors spoke of strange lights flickering near the trees, of screams that echoed long after the bodies were gone. The brother vanished into the shadows of history, his name erased or forgotten, but his act left behind a scar. And so the hills, once ordinary, carried a weight they could never escape. 7 sisters, whose lives ended by the hands of family. How did the legend of the 7 sisters spread beyond the hills? It began with whispers among neighbors, cautious talk of the tragedy no one dared discuss openly. The farmhouse stood abandoned, its windows shattered by wind, its walls left to rot. Children dared each other to approach, swearing they heard footsteps inside. or saw the outline of women standing by the broken door. Soon, travelers began to avoid the road. Horses grew restless when led past the trees, and later, cars would stall for no reason on the same stretch of land. Some said they heard voices calling their names, soft at first, then growing desperate. Others claimed to see figures dressed in white, walking along the road before vanishing into the night. The name Seven Sisters Road was born not out of maps or records, but from fear. The tragedy had become more than history. It had become a warning, carved into the very land itself. A reminder that betrayal leaves a lasting shadow. What do drivers say when they travel the road today? Many describe a sudden drop in temperature, as if unseen hands were pressing against the windows. Some report headlights flickering, plunging them into darkness just as they near the hills. The most chilling accounts speak of voices, soft, pleading, almost like a hymn carried on the wind. They call out not to frighten, but to be remembered. Help us, some claim to hear. Others say the voices speak their name, as if the sisters are reaching from beyond the grave. On certain nights, travelers swear they see 7 figures standing in the distance waiting. When approached, the figures vanish, leaving nothing but silence. Skeptics argue it is imagination, a trick of shadows and fear. Yet too many stories echo the same details. The legend insists that the sisters never left. Their souls wander the road, bound not by choice, but by the betrayal that ended their lives too soon. Why does betrayal cut deeper when it comes from family? Because blood is meant to protect, not destroy. The sisters trusted their brother completely, and it was that trust that became their downfall. Legends say their spirits linger not only from the violence of their deaths, but from the shock of who caused it. Imagine 7 hearts breaking in the same moment, realizing that the hands they thought would shield them were the very ones pulling them toward death. This wound lingers in the earth, in the trees, in the very air that travelers breathe when passing the road. Ghost hunters who dared to investigate reported overwhelming feelings of sorrow and anger, as if the land itself was crying. Some brought equipment to capture voices and claimed to record whispers of "why" and "brother." Whether real or imagined, the story feeds itself. Living on through every retelling, the betrayal of the 7 sisters remains a scar that time refuses to heal. What if the story was more than just a legend? Locals say no official records exist of the sisters' names, nor of the brother who carried out the crime. But legends often begin where facts are lost. Oral tales pass from generation to generation, and details shift with every telling. Some claim the sisters were buried secretly after their deaths, their graves scattered so no one could honor them. Others believe they were never given peace at all, left wandering as restless spirits tied to the place of their suffering. Skeptics argue that no such family existed, that it is only a ghost story meant to keep children away from dangerous roads at night. But how then do we explain the countless testimonies of those who swear they've seen the sisters, heard their cries, or felt their presence? Legends survive because people continue to experience what cannot be explained, and the 7 sisters refuse to be forgotten. Why do tragedies like this become immortalized? Because horror leaves an imprint. The land does not forget the shedding of innocent blood. 7 lives ended violently, and the earth beneath their feet absorbed the memory. Over time, the story became a living thing, fed by fear, retold in whispers, and strengthened by encounters that kept happening long after the farmhouse rotted away. Those who dare to walk the road at night describe an overwhelming weight pressing on their chest, as if grief itself were suffocating them. Drivers avoid the route not because of traffic or danger, but because of dread. Even skeptics, once they hear the cries or see the figures, carry the story forward. And so the legend grows stronger, immortalized in the shadows of the hills. The 7 sisters are not just remembered. They are relived every time another traveler feels their presence on the road that bears their name. So why does the legend of the Seven Sisters endure? Because it is more than a ghost story, it is a warning, a reminder that trust can be the sharpest blade when placed in the wrong hands. Families are meant to protect, yet the sisters' fate shows how easily love can turn into betrayal. The road is no longer just dirt and stone. It is memory, grief, and unanswered questions carried on the wind. Every car that slows, every traveler who hesitates at the edge of the hills, adds another voice to the legend. Perhaps the sisters linger because no one gave them justice. Perhaps they wait for someone to remember their names, lost to time. Or perhaps they remain to remind us all that darkness often hides closest to home. Whatever the truth may be, their cries still echo in Nebraska's countryside. And if you listen closely, you might hear them calling, even now on Seven Sisters Road. The tale of the Seven Sisters reminds us that even blood can betray, but their story is only one among many. More cursed places, more haunted names, and more bloodlines await. This is Bloodline Files, where the dead are never silent.